Essentials here. I was asked on how to glam up dining chairs. And here are some couple of photos that were sent to me. These are lion knuckle chairs and plain simple knuckle chairs. And one that has been embellished with embroidery. Now out of the three, I picked the one in the middle. I'm going to start off this DIY with a chair that I got from the thrift store. I'm going to change the shape of the back a little bit with this leftover flexible board and a PVC strip. I have a bit of opening here, and that's going to be covered up with a corrugated plastic sheet that I got from Michael's craft store. There was an opening there because the board was not flexible enough to cover up that little part. That's why I'm going to be using a different board there. And then took it out and spray painted it gold. I'll be covering up this chair with a fabric that's in a champagne color. And for the top of the chair, I'm going to be attaching a 1-inch foam to it. On at the back. It there because I didn't think it was going to show after the design that I'll be making at the back, but I was wrong. So just so you guys know, the fabric at the back should be reduced as much as possible to avoid any excess from showing. And decorating the chair with this silver trim that I got from Walmart. I'll be using tack nails to attach the trim to the chair. I'm also going to be using the same silver trim to cover up the staple pins in the front. Now moving on to the back, I'm going to find where the middle is and attach a brooch there. I attached it to the fabric with a pin that came with it, and it's not straight, so I'm going to be using long tack nails to make it sturdy. After that, I'm going to be drawing straight lines around it to guide me on where I'm going to start the pattern. Now, because this has pearls and gems around it, I got a trim from Hobby Lobby that has pearls and gems on it. I'll be attaching all of the cut off pieces with a hot glue gun and tack nails. I used 4 yards of this trim for this pattern, and they're all different lengths that I cut just to give it some kind of contrast. Now, to make the pattern more interesting, I'm going to cut singular strips from a bling wrap to fill in the open spaces on the pattern. I'm also going to be attaching them with hot glue gun and tack nails. I was gonna leave it like this, but then I figured I got a lot of bling wrap, so why not just make it fuller? And that's what I did. I added more bling wrap to make it fuller, and it looks much more better. I'll be covering up the staple pins that I have by the side with a trim that's with pearls and gems. And I'll be attaching it with a hot glue gun and tack nails as well. And that's it. Now you have a pretty and unique dining chair. That's definitely a conversation starter in the home. Now, who says you cannot have your favorite pearls and gems on a dining chair? This is so pretty, and I love the way it turned out. The front is bare, like I said, because a lot was going on at the back, so I decided to just keep the front as simple as possible. So this is an interesting way to glam up an already existing dining chair that you may have in the home. Let's go ahead and get started with the project. I got this mirror from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using 3 of them. When I was trying to remove the mirror, I got so worried that I was going to break it. But then the trick here is to just carefully push it out because the mirror is so thin. And it can break because that happened to me. So the trick is just to hold it carefully and push it out till you see the glue coming out of the mirror around the edges, and then you carefully remove it. Now for the design, I'm going to be using a foam board that I divided into 3 equal parts and cut them out and started tracing the mirror in the middle of all 3 boards. I'm going to quickly draw a rough sketch of what I have in mind before I start drawing it on the boards. And now I'm going to start drawing out the pattern on the first board. Now moving on to the second board, and it's going to start with the line being drawn in the middle. And I did that halfway. I've just completed the pattern for the second board. Now I took the first board and then took the third board, placed it together so that I can have the lines looking similar to that of the first board. So this is how the lines on both boards look like when they're together. Now that I have the pattern for all 3 boards, the next thing will be to take my mirror mosaic tiles and cutting them into singular strips and using it on all of the lines that I have on the design. I'm adding more strips at the top to overlap with the other ones at the bottom to make sure that it covers all the open spaces. And now I'm going to be using gems that I got from Walmart to decorate in between each and every one of the lines. I used smaller gems to finish up the top. I used the gems that are a little bit smaller than the bigger ones, and then really tiny ones. I left out the outer spaces to use something else there, and a mirror is going to come here. I repeated the same thing on the remaining 2 boards. These are card holders, and I will use them to decorate the open spaces. I have used this metal clips card holders to decorate a wall mirror, and the link is going to be at the top right and also in the description box below. I later on used gems in all the middle part of all the card holders. This is what all 3 designs look like, and then I turned them to the back, and because I didn't want to separate them, I cut out 2 long strips from a foam board and then glued them at the top and at the bottom, and then used craft sticks to hold them at the open spaces. I also glued hooks at the top, 2 hooks at the top and 2 hooks at the bottom to give me 2 different options in hanging the wall art. I then turned it over and glued on the 3 mirrors in the middle. These parts here look kind of rough, so I will be covering them up with large gems that I got from Michael's craft store. This is what it looks like when it's mounted on the wall. And then I put the vase beside it. They look so cute together. I really love how the wall art and the vase beside it complement each other. The link for the vase is going to be at the top right and also in the description box below. So now let's go ahead and get started with the project. I got 2 trays from the Dollar Tree. I want to reduce a little bit of the circle around the tray, so I'm making a mark to where I want to cut. I did the same thing for the second tray. I held both sides of the trays with tape. I will be gluing just the lower part, and I will be using a strong adhesive. I'm using an E6000 glue, and I'm also going to be using a hot glue gun. When I was done with that, I took out all of the tapes, and then I glued it down too. So I needed a base for my vase. So I'm going to be using this bowl that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be cutting it in the middle using a soldering iron. I drew lines on both sides of the tray, or should I say making a mark on where it gets into the bowl to make it easy for me when I will be decorating the trays. This is a trim that I got from Walmart, and I will use it to decorate the outer parts of the tray. I'm going to use this to decorate the edges of the first tray, while I use something else for the second tray, so I can have 2 different views for the vase. And I'm going to start gluing away from the mark that I made. I did this all around but left the space that I had marked. And now I turned it to the other side. And for this side, I'm going to be using mirror mosaic tiles. I covered the whole edges and left the space at the bottom like I did for the other one. Now to decorate the middle, I'm going to be using small self-adhesive gems that I got from Walmart. And I'm also going to be using the large self-adhesive gems. I used 2 sheets of the large gems. And so I'm going to be starting off with the larger gems at the outer corners. After I was done with the first line using the large gems, the second line is going to be with the smaller gems. And then the next line is going to be with the smaller gems. I went on and on and on till I got to the last circle. And now for the opening that we have here, I'm going to be covering it up to maybe this point here. And then I'm going to be using gems, starting to glue the gems to both edges of the openings before I then glue the gems in the middle. After I glued on all of the gems using a hot glue gun, I'm going to go around with a strong adhesive just to make sure that it's strong, and I'm using an E6000 glue. This is how it looks. And I'm going to be repeating the same thing that I did here for the other side. This is what it looks like, and now I will be placing it on top of the base that I made for it. When I was done, I fell in love with both views. I fell in love with this view and this view. The fun thing about DIY is that you personalize it to suit your taste, so some days I may want to display it this way or this way. And to light up the vase, you can just put regular string lights inside. Thank you so much for watching. I have other videos linked in the description box below. Do check them out and don't forget to click on the subscribe button.